I think the people, the ease of life, the security, the motivation of the people to keep up with their socialist government, and when their desire to keep it, the medical and the other benefits that they have.
Their resolve, knowing that they have shortages of food and the economic system really isn't all that strong, but their spirit, they work hard, they seem to enjoy their life in Havana. Some of the things we read before is you think maybe there's an antagonistic spirit towards Americans, but they're very welcoming for Americans. They're engaged in conversation, so half English, half Spanish, or all English for that matter. And just their general outlook on life is sort of, yeah, we know things are a little tough, a little rough, but we'll make it. We'll get through the day and in a good spirit.
I thought the society was much more prosperous than I expected. I've been to other communist or former communist countries where there was much more scarcity. Well, the friendliness and openness of the people is one, and the abundance of creative expression has been just a wonderful discovery for me. The ingenuity of the people is fabulous.
Well, I knew the people were going to be very friendly, and that was, everything was perfect about that. I think that the unexpected thing, let's see, would be how everyone was more complacent than I thought they would be. And they're saying, oh yes, we own the apartment, but we don't own the building, and we don't know who owns the building. And they weren't too concerned about it.
I just came here because I was curious, and I actually didn't read too much or watch too much beforehand because I just wanted to have an open mind. And I think sometimes when you kind of prepare yourself too much, you give yourself too much information, and it kind of closes off your mind to see things with fresh eyes. I've really loved almost every single part of this trip. We've done a great variety of things, met some really fantastic people, the weather's great. So yeah, I would say it's really difficult for me to pick just one or a couple things.
We saw at the same time the advertisement over television that Obama was breaking down the barriers and we were going to approach Cuba and open the doors, and at the same time this trip came up, so I wanted to capture Cuba the way it was before it's spoiled by the American movement. My impression is just complete thrill at the marvelous equity and equality of this society, how they care for the kids, how they care for the mothers, how they care for the homeless, how they care for everybody. It's just a marvelous, marvelous society. Boy, we sure have a lot to learn from the example of this society. It's really from the people up and not from the corporations down. It's just fantastic. It is a wonderful, wonderful organization. Castro and socialism, you are right on.
A lot more restaurants available. Service isn't quite there yet in most places, but there are a lot more restaurants. A lot less shortages of food, even though places might not have one or two menu items, they have the majority. That's a big change. Traffic has increased tremendously. Dollars are more accepted in places than it used to be. So those are just a few of the things I've seen. My favorite thing is the Literacy Museum and learning about their love of learning.
Their whole idea of self is different, and their identity with their country is different than ours. I mean, they do identify with their country. They are Cubans. Their heart is Cuba, it's so much different than what we have going. I think just being outside, being in the air, the sun, the ocean.
I'm from New Jersey. This is my first time to Cuba. And I came with an open mind, because I didn't want to feel any negative vibes about anything in life or Cuba. And it's funny because when I want to express how I feel about Cuba, I tell people, because Che is not from Cuba, but he fought for the people, and it meant a lot to him. So I tell people, Che and Dino, the same. I gotta cut it short because we only got a little bit of time. I gotta go.
I was expecting to see people living in hardship because of the embargo and other things that happened that have really been destroying their economy. And I did see some poverty in terms of beautiful houses in, you might say, decaying beauty. But I was also really super impressed by the positive viewpoint and the productivity that the Cubans have achieved. There is no doubt in worldwide evaluation of what they have done with the literacy and the medical care for almost all the population. Highest literacy rate in the world, up there in the top 10. And the people we spoke to, and I made a point of speaking to ordinary people in the neighborhood, they all take pride in things like the health care, the medical care, and the education that is available now to them that had never been possible for either, not just poor people, but middle-income people in Cuba. Opportunities of state-funded education at the highest professional level, as well as the highest artistic level, for a country to establish 5 schools in the army. We do not have that in the United States. We have some variants elsewhere. So a major investment in what people critically need, health, education, medical care. And clearly they have suffered in the lack of certain medicine, certain materials, certain technologies that can only come from the U.S. But it is a long time coming that there are many things you can learn from this country. There are models they have tried, models that have failed, and they keep on working on a better model. And that is really the pattern that human beings need to follow, to learn from what didn't work and learn what gets you to the ultimate goal of living in a peaceful civil community that values every member of the community.
Highlights the literacy campaign. I had not known about that. I thought that was a mind-blowing endeavor. The arts thing we went to yesterday, the arts workshop, just wonderful, wonderful creative talent there. And let's see, I talked one night to one of the Cuban doctors about Cuban medicine in other countries, and I had known something of that, but boy, it was impressive. I mean, they were in the middle of the Ebola crisis, and just wonderful work. And I thought, what a magnificent way to do international policy through literacy and medicine rather than sending guns. And so those were some of the highlights. I liked the dance last night, and most of all, I think I liked meeting people who were different but yet kindred spirits in this exploration of Cuba.
The same things that I maybe anticipated are still a surprise. The condition of the housing and the amount that people earn, and well, it's just been very interesting. It has been very educational. The favorite thing? The interactions, I believe, with everyone and getting new information, lots of points of view, I've loved the art, and yet I've loved the people. I think that what has affected me the most is the spirit of the people, all of the people.
What do you mean, the spirit?
The spirit, they keep getting back up, and it feels like just a positive connection, a positive way to deal with all the difficulties they have in front of them and how they deal with it.
Yeah, it was everything I expected and more. I enjoyed learning about the culture, the art, the politics, and we went to a lot of delicious restaurants. We had a great time communicating with the people in the group, or in the tour group, and we, as far as, at least from my own perspective, we did, and we learned some things about socialism, some things that we could take back to the United States and apply in our daily lives. And we learned that though perhaps we were seeing aspects of the Cuban culture that may have been handpicked for our benefit, that there were a lot of good and beautiful things that we saw.
I don't think I had a very strong set expectation, so nothing outright surprised me, but it moved me in ways perhaps that I didn't expect. The emphasis on the common collective experience and the humanity that seems to drive so many of the actions in this country has struck me. Along the same lines, the repetition of everyone's emphasis on that collective. So they don't have advertisements, but they have the occasional billboard. On the billboards, it says, do well. And it doesn't matter whom you're doing well with, or do good, and it doesn't matter to whom you're doing good. And then that's been repeated across everyone we've met, from the young to the old, in between. People who were formerly part of our program and people we met along the way. So.
In the case of this group, it's more like a group of U.S. people who are, most of them for the first time in Cuba. And I like to show the reality and what Cuba is all about and what we do, how we're trying to survive and to cope with many difficulties that we have had for over 25 years. And yeah, I do feel proud to be a Cuban and to show my country as well. You hope you take back essentially the essence of the Cuban people, the vibe that Cuban people have, and also how Cuban people are fond of the U.S. people, and vice versa in a way.
The surprise is, I think, how happy these people are. I thought there'd be less happiness, you know, because of being the embargo and the communist regime, and I just think they're happy. My favorite thing about the trip, well, my favorite tour was the Terraza in the country. That was a neat program, and also the program with the literacy program. I thought that was really cool. Totally enjoyed that. I enjoyed it all. It was eye-opening here. It's a great country, good people, and I hope to be back.
Many things surprised me. The first, I think, real surprise was the Museum of Literacy. I was taken aback that they were able to spread, that is, through students and all, literacy throughout the country within a year. Just floored me completely. I wish we could do that in the United States. The second favorite thing, I think, was the talk by the architect that gave us really a good overview and an honest overview of Cuba. What the problems were importing 80% of their food, the oil embargo, the special time. The third most impressive thing on my #1 list was Fustar, the artist, the Gaudí, the Picasso of Cuba. In the last of the formal programs was the organic farm. It was again floored by that, and it's inspiring me perhaps to start our own small organic farm at home. And then the fifth, which is overall, was the people. Never, everyone has a smile, everyone is helpful. We, as Americans, have been fed how shall I say? We have been fed a lot of untruths about Cuba. And this was an eye-opener, and it certainly was something that I would go back, having known first, second, and third generation Cubans in the past, and would try to educate them on what we saw in Cuba, and we may not have seen it all.